Hello everyone. Welcome to Cybersecurity Learning Hub, your one-stop hub for all things cybersecurity. We live in a digital world. Our lives are increasingly online. This digital revolution has brought us immense convenience and connectivity, but it has also made us vulnerable. Cybersecurity is more important than ever. It pits national security against individual rights. On one side of this debate are law enforcement agencies. They argue that encryption hinders their ability to investigate criminals and terrorists. On the other side are privacy advocates, cybersecurity experts, and tech companies. They argue that backdoors weaken encryption for everyone. This debate is not just about technology. It's about fundamental rights. It's about the future of the internet as we know it. Encryption transforms information into an unreadable format, making it incomprehensible without the proper decryption key. It acts as a digital lockbox for your data. Without encryption, our online activities would be vulnerable to eavesdropping. Encryption protects our data in transit and at rest. The algorithms used today are so sophisticated that breaking them without the decryption key is impractical. This robustness makes encryption a valuable tool for safeguarding our privacy and security. Encryption secures our online communications and transactions. Messaging apps like WhatsApp use end-to-end encryption. HTTPS signifies that your connection to a website is encrypted. Full disk encryption scrambles the entire contents of your hard drive. Encryption has become indispensable for protecting our privacy, security, and digital identities. Without strong encryption, the digital world would crumble, leaving us exposed to risks. Law enforcement and intelligence agencies argue that strong encryption creates a critical blind spot. They need access to encrypted communications to investigate serious crimes. Their plea is for lawful access, not a complete dismantling of encryption. They argue that tech companies should provide a way to bypass encryption in specific cases. This access would be a targeted measure used only with a warrant. The debate is about balancing privacy and security. Proponents of lawful access cite examples where encryption obstructed justice. Encrypted phones or laptops can stymie investigations. Terrorist organizations use encryption to evade detection. Lawful access could help thwart attacks and identify collaborators. Ransomware attacks have fueled the debate over lawful access. Proponents emphasize targeted access under strict legal constraints. The debate over lawful access to encryption boils down to balancing security and privacy. Law enforcement argues that encryption should not come at the expense of public safety. They believe in a system of lawful access with safeguards and oversight. Opponents argue that backdoors inherently weaken security. Any mechanism to bypass encryption becomes a target for malicious actors. The debate continues over finding a solution that addresses both needs. The flaw in the argument for encryption backdoors is the notion that they can be controlled by only the good guys. Software vulnerabilities can be exploited by malicious actors. A backdoor introduces a critical vulnerability. Criminal organizations and hostile nation-states would exploit such vulnerabilities. The existence of a backdoor weakens the security of the entire system. It's a dangerous fantasy to think a backdoor can be exclusively accessible by authorized entities. Weakening encryption can erode trust and chill free expression. There's a risk of abuse of power by entities entrusted with backdoors. Encryption backdoors could stifle innovation and harm democratic societies. Weakening encryption could impact the global economy. Businesses rely on strong encryption to protect sensitive data. The pursuit of encryption backdoors opens a Pandora's box of unintended consequences. Beyond the ethical and societal implications, the quest to implement encryption backdoors faces a formidable and perhaps insurmountable technical hurdle. The inherent difficulty of creating a backdoor that is both secure and functional. It's akin to designing a lock that can be opened with a master key, but remains impervious to picking by anyone else. While this might sound achievable in theory, in the realm of complex cryptographic systems, it's a task fraught with complexities and potential pitfalls. One of the fundamental challenges lies in key management. For a backdoor to be functional, there needs to be a way to securely store and manage the keys that unlock the encrypted data. These keys would need to be highly protected, accessible only to authorized entities, and resistant to theft or compromise. However, any system designed to store and manage such powerful keys becomes an incredibly attractive target for attackers, creating a single point of failure that could undermine the entire security framework. Another technical hurdle is the issue of scope creep. A backdoor designed for a specific purpose, such as accessing the contents of a particular messaging app, could be exploited or repurposed for broader surveillance activities. Once the technical capability exists to bypass encryption, it becomes incredibly tempting for governments to expand their use of these tools, potentially leading to mission creep and erosion of privacy safeguards. Furthermore, any backdoor introduced into an encryption system inherently increases the attack surface, providing additional avenues for exploitation. Malicious actors could exploit flaws in the backdoor's implementation, vulnerabilities in the key management system, or even unintended interactions between the backdoor and other parts of the system to gain unauthorized access. The pursuit of a secure and functional encryption backdoor is a technical quagmire. It's a quest fraught with complexities, vulnerabilities, and unintended consequences. Many experts argue that it's simply impossible to create a backdoor that doesn't inherently weaken the security it aims to enhance, making the pursuit of such a solution not only ethically questionable, but also technically unsound. The abstract debate surrounding encryption backdoors collided with a stark reality in 2016, captivating global attention and crystallizing the high stakes involved. Following the horrific San Bernardino terrorist attack, the FBI recovered one of the perpetrator's iPhones, an iPhone 5C, a device encrypted by default with Apple's robust security features. This seemingly impenetrable device became the focal point of a legal and ethical showdown between the U.S. government and one of the world's most powerful tech giants, Apple Inc. The FBI, facing a locked phone that potentially held crucial evidence related to the attack, demanded that Apple create specialized software, a modified version of its iOS operating system, to circumvent the phone's security features. Specifically, they wanted Apple to disable a security mechanism that wiped the phone's data after 10 incorrect passcode attempts, allowing them to brute force the passcode without losing valuable data. Apple, under the leadership of CEO Tim Cook, pushed back vehemently, refusing to comply with the FBI's demands. In a public letter, Cook argued that creating such software, even for a single device, would be akin to creating a master key that could unlock any iPhone, setting a dangerous precedent with far-reaching consequences for the privacy and security of millions of users worldwide. Cook contended that acceding to the FBI's request would undermine the very trust that Apple had painstakingly built with its customers, who relied on the company's commitment to protecting their data. He argued that creating a backdoor, even for a seemingly isolated case, would inevitably make all iPhones more vulnerable to criminals, hackers, and even foreign governments, who could exploit the same vulnerability for malicious purposes. The case quickly escalated into a public relations battle, with each side garnering support from prominent figures and organizations. Law enforcement officials and some victims' families sided with the FBI, arguing that accessing the phone's data was crucial for the investigation and could potentially prevent future attacks. Tech companies, privacy advocates, and cybersecurity experts rallied behind Apple, echoing the company's concerns about the dangers of weakening encryption and setting a dangerous precedent for government overreach. The Apple versus FBI standoff reached a dramatic turning point when the FBI announced that it had successfully unlocked the San Bernardino shooter's iPhone without Apple's assistance. The agency had reportedly paid a third-party security firm to exploit a previously unknown vulnerability in the iPhone software, allowing them to bypass the security features and access the phone's data. While this development seemingly resolved the immediate impasse, it did little to quell the underlying debate over encryption backdoors. Apple, although relieved that it hadn't been forced to compromise its principles, continued to strengthen its security measures, patching vulnerabilities, and making it more difficult for law enforcement or anyone else to gain unauthorized access to its devices. The FBI, while successful in this particular instance, remained frustrated by what it perceived as an obstacle to its investigative capabilities. The agency continued to advocate for legislation or legal mechanisms that would compel tech companies to provide lawful access to encrypted data, arguing that the increasing use of encryption was going to be the death of us in terms of their ability to solve crimes and prevent terrorism. The Apple versus FBI case, though seemingly resolved, cast a long shadow on the debate over encryption backdoors. It served as a stark reminder of the high stakes involved, the complex ethical and legal considerations, and the lack of easy answers. It also highlighted the ongoing tension between the government's legitimate interest in national security and the fundamental right to privacy in the digital age. The case set a precedent, not in a legal sense, but in demonstrating the resolve of some tech companies to resist government pressure to weaken encryption. It also underscored the determination of law enforcement and intelligence agencies to find ways to circumvent encryption, whether through legal means, technical exploits, or legislative action. The battle over encryption backdoors, far from being over, had entered a new and perhaps even more contentious chapter. The debate surrounding encryption backdoors is not a simple binary of right and wrong. It's a complex tapestry of competing interests, ethical dilemmas, and technical challenges. On one hand, governments have a legitimate responsibility to protect their citizens from crime and terrorism, and they argue that access to encrypted communications is crucial in this endeavor. On the other hand, individuals have a fundamental right to privacy, and strong encryption is essential for safeguarding that right in the digital age. The pursuit of encryption backdoors, while perhaps well-intentioned, is fraught with dangers. The notion that such backdoors could be engineered to be exclusively accessible by authorized entities, immune to exploitation by malicious actors, is a risky proposition at best. History has shown time and again that any vulnerability, no matter how carefully concealed, will eventually be discovered and exploited by those with malicious intent. Moreover, weakening encryption, even for seemingly noble purposes, could have a chilling effect on free speech, stifle innovation, and erode trust in the digital ecosystem. It could also have unintended consequences for the global economy, disrupting trade and undermining confidence in online services. Finding the right balance between security and privacy in the digital age is a daunting task. It requires a nuanced approach, one that recognizes the legitimate concerns of law enforcement while upholding the fundamental right to privacy. It necessitates collaboration between governments, tech companies, privacy advocates, and cybersecurity experts to develop solutions that enhance security without undermining the very foundations of a free and open internet. The debate over encryption backdoors is not going away. As technology continues to evolve and criminals find new ways to exploit digital tools, the tension between security and privacy will only intensify. It's a debate with no easy answers, but it's a debate we must have if we want to create a digital future where security and privacy can coexist. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay safe out there. Thank you.